Assalamu alaikum. The tool that we have chosen is called Splunk, which is a data analysis tool that turns our machine data into business value. And the use case we are demonstrating is detection of brute force attack through Splunk. Now, since we are using Splunk Cloud, this is the home page, and we will go into search and reporting to start our use case. In the search box here, we can enter a query, and currently we just want to display our dataset and all of the events. So now as we can see, we have already uploaded our dataset into Splunk, which is named as brute force sample.csv. And down here we can see some of the fields in our dataset, like the action field, which has two values, failure or success, and the user field, which has only one value, Bob. Now, to start our query, we can go step by step. In this search, we can see that we have piped our data into the stats function count, and we are ordering it by time. So this is the timestamp of each event, and by user, who is Bob, by the action, which can be failure or success, and the signature ID and the destination. Now, moving on, we are going to add a third command, which includes the stream stats. Global is equal to true means that we want all events to be displayed, the past and the current ones. And we will use the count function. We will initialize the count to 0 by current is equal to false, and we will order the data by user comma action. So wherever the user action is same, the count should increase by 1. So for the first Bob failure, count is 0. For the second Bob failure, count becomes 1, and so on. But for the first Bob success, the count is again initialized to 0 because it is a new instance. And after for the next Bob failure, the count is resumed from 4. Now in this search query, we are adding two columns to our dataset. One is the last action column and the other is the last count column. In the last action column, we want to include the action from the previous event. That is the event that occurred before the current event. And in the last count, we will include the number, the count number from the previous event. For example, for the first instance of Bob failure, the count is 0 and there is no last action and no last count because there is no event happening before this. For the second Bob failure, the last action will be failure, which is from this event, and the last count will be 0, which is also from this event. Moving on, for the third Bob failure, the last action will also be a failure, and the last count will be 1, and so on. But for the Bob success event, the count will be 0 because it is the first successful incident, and the last action will be failure because before the success event there was a failure event, and not just one, there were 4 failure events. So this shows that how many failed attempts happened before the successful event, which can help us in identifying a brute force attack. Now we are going to add a search query, which is when the last action is equal to failure and the current action is equal to success and last count is greater than or equal to 4. This means that we want that specific event which was successful, but before that success there were 4 or more multiple failure attempts, which is only this incident where Bob has been successful in logging in, but before that he had multiple failures. Over here it's written 4, but since we know we've started from 0, this means there were 5 failed attempts. So just to make that clearer, we can add +1 to it. So now we can see that Bob was successful after 5 failed attempts because this is the failure count. So there were 5 failed attempts before the successful event. And just to make it more cleaner, we can specify the column fields. So this is the timestamp when the user Bob was successful in logging in with this signature ID from this destination, but before this success, there were 5 failed login attempts. And in this way, we can identify that this user was failed to log in multiple times before successfully logging in. And this is a brute force incident. Now, if we want to save this as a report, we can do it easily in Splunk over here, and we can name it. And once we save this incident in a report, we can view it and share it with other members of our organization easily in this report form. And over here we can make multiple events showing all of the brute force incidents so that it is easier to monitor them. Thank you so much.